but controlling the traffic of who does. And I think they've erred on the side, if you want to use the term err, to not shut it off completely because of the point that Barbara was making. We don't have the resources, we're not going to buy that from you. To continue to buy it, but then try to control the traffic of who sees it.
That's not the case, though. What they're doing is making it inconvenient to access, first of all, and in the process of that, using more resources to control it, and not only can you still get it, but you can still do the same things with it, and it's just a matter of the university making it inconvenient in order to try to prevent me from looking at it in 139. When it seems to me the issue should be, if I'm looking at it in 139, then I should be punished for displaying it rather than prohibiting anyone's access to it.
I think you may be right, but I have this horrible feeling we're getting probably too fact specific. I think we're probably trying to figure out in answer to the case, and I'm not sure I know enough about the facts of the case to come up with any kind of definitive answer.
I would like to ask the question. Let me ask it and then think about it a little bit. Bombshad's point on racial speech as something that really, it's a value of civility on this campus. Should we get in, as we have in the written statement on sexual harassment, should we get involved and control the speech dealing with racism? Think about that. I'll stop.
Well, I like to deal with civility rather than identifying the areas of the civil. And certainly I think we're all in a very civil discourse in the university community. I think that I would not go along with prohibiting non-civil discourse in the university. And if we're concerned about human values, then I think we're not just concerned about minorities or identifiable groups. I think we're concerned about the basis or the values of individuals, whether they can be identified racially or not. And I think that if you attempt to establish guidelines, if you're going to say it's wrong to demean a minority person, I think it's just as wrong to demean another human being. I think if you get into the position where you're going to attempt to prohibit speech with debasing or demeaning, you are dealing with First Amendment purity. Simple. Now, as one extreme case, there was a private college in the eastern United States which came up with a guideline, I believe they called it site discrimination, in which people in the university community were not supposed to discriminate against ugly people. And there were two guidelines. You were not supposed to stare at ugly people, but you also were not supposed to ignore them. I think these are the kind of guidelines that you will end up with if your basic premise is prohibit speech that's demeaning.
I'd like to pause right here. If anybody else, it's about my thoughts, anybody else needs to leave, feel free to do so. I would like to go on if there are any other perhaps, I know there's a couple of questions. Do they pertain to this issue or they have to do with other issues? Gentleman back here, I know this has been waiting.
I just had a question about this idea of the university determining whether somebody's a threat. If Bill threatens to kill Sally, and Sally has the right to pursue an academic career and feeling safe, and the right to pursue freedom, why is the university the one to decide whether the threat is real? Shouldn't Sally get some input on that? Get to decide that? Isn't she the one, as long as she feels threatened?
It wouldn't be done in isolation, although, you do have to make a judgment call after you gather as much information you can. Yeah, I think you're right. Sally has some.
How the threats proceed?
Sure, I can think of lots of days in which Tom has come into my office and said, Barbara, I'm going to kill you. I don't feel threatened by that. It's we're working on something or we're processing, and I'm using hyperbolic exemplars here. I think that's absolutely right, but at some point you do have a governmental interest in welfare. I mean, it is a crime to assault someone. And assault differs from battery. Assault is not a touching necessarily. Assault can simply be a threat to the individual. There is a state interest in preventing assault. Nevertheless, as a practical matter, it is impossible to prosecute an assault charge successfully unless you have the cooperation of the person who has been threatened, which is why so many domestic abuse cases come to naught.
Well, now we have the stalking law.
The what?
The stalking law is being currently passed.
Oh, the stalking law, yeah, following some, yeah.
One thing I'd just like to add here is that you're saying that assault is against the law. So is racial harassment. This is for instance, the Hate Crimes Act of 1990, which was passed just recently last year, 2 years ago actually, by the state of Iowa. And it says very interesting, very succinctly that you're committing a Class D felony if you essentially interfere with other people's rights based on race, sex, religion, etc. And it defines that if a person intimidates or interferes with another person if the act of the person results in any of the following, and one of them is physical injury, of course. One of them is communication in a manner or action in a manner intended to result in either of the following, and that the things that follow include to place the other person in fear of physical contact will be injurious, insulting, or offensive, coupled with the apparent ability to execute the act, to place the other person in fear of harm to other person's property or to harm the person's property of the third person, and it goes on, it defines that. So, and in fact, they make a specific reference to cross burnings, not in somebody's lawn, but cross burnings intended against somebody, even if it's in the sidewalk. And that's against the law in Iowa. And I don't see why the university should be behind the state of Iowa. The university, if anything, should be leading the state of Iowa, and the university should be leading the nation in trying to redefine these rights, to protect people. Ending racism, I go even farther than this. Ending racism should be a part of the mission of Iowa State University. It should be a part of the mission.
You're saying ending it is by telling people they can't talk about it?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying you can and you should have the obligation to regulate the same way as you regulate conduct because of drunkenness, or a speech that because of drunkenness, or sexual harassment, speech that results in sexual harassment. You should, by the same token, have the obligation to regulate the type of behavior which is speech, which racially harasses and interferes with the rights of other people to live in this community and enjoy its benefits. It's the same concept. There is already in the handbook, ISU handbook, says that if, in fact, I don't have that with me here, but it says essentially what it amounts to is that any person who interferes with the institutional ways of the university, or prevents other people from from enjoying the educational process or the fruits of the educational process or whatever, would be essentially violating the conduct code. I'm saying let's be specific. Why all of a sudden, when it comes to somebody in a residence area putting up a picture, or starts calling somebody names, racial epithets and stuff like that, or burns crosses, and just creates a type of environment that other people just don't feel safe, don't feel like they can talk, their rights are being violated. That kind of conduct should be regulated by the university and should be specific.
We're running out of time. I know there's one gentleman, one last question.
Yeah, and maybe it's the appropriate last question, because it goes back to the option said right at the top about the topic of the discussion, whether campus policy supersedes Bill of Rights. It would seem that the Constitution and the Bill of Rights apply to the national government. So I would think that doesn't say in there that it applies to schools and colleges. So whatever policy we set up, why
don't give up your citizenship when you enroll at Iowa State, I would hope not.
Well, and I would make an argument. The Constitution does in fact apply to the states through the 14th Amendment. And Iowa State is in fact Iowa State University. It is a publicly funded public institution. I think if I go to be educated at Mount St. Mary Holyoke University, a place which says we base our foundations of education are based on the Roman Catholic Church, and they have rules about my behavior and rules about my conduct and rules about what I may and may not say in that private setting, those are going to be more easily enforceable in a court of law because I've gone there by choice and I've gone there knowing that I'm probably not going to hear about abortion, and I'm probably not going to hear about homosexuality, and they won't be thrilled if I announce I'm a lesbian. Iowa State University is in fact public, and I think I have long asserted our public central campus is as public as a public street. It's open to any citizen of the state. We don't have barriers around our campus. We don't have walls. We don't say you have to be a student in order to walk on this campus, or you have to be a faculty member or staff member. And I think that changes the mix fundamentally, because I think the Constitution does in fact apply here fully and directly.
Well, that would mean that the Iowa State University would have the power to waive war and mint money. Money tax.
No, but if you go back and look at the 14th Amendment cases, I mean, the U.S. Supreme Court has said states and state-owned properties are as bound by the Constitution as is the federal government. I mean, that's pretty well-settled constitutional law. That's how come you can't have the state of Iowa say, well, you know, we don't have any black highway patrolmen. They're bound by constitutional restrictions. That's how come you can't have a state that says, well, we aren't going to give women the right to vote in state elections. They're bound.
Iowa State University would also have the power granted to states.
No, we have the powers delegated to us by the institution which created us, which is the state legislature. Terrifying, isn't it?
I think there are times we'd like to create mine, but
God only knows.
Well, I'd like to thank the panelists for taking their time to be with us tonight. I'd like to thank all of you. Precinct caucuses are tonight, and we're encouraging everybody to attend. That's why we don't have any lectures tonight. This institute resumes tomorrow at noon in the Pioneer Room with a panel discussion on religion, politics, and the Bill of Rights.